Well, hiya, BookTube. Bill Ruttenberg here with the Ruttenberg Library. Wanted to come to you with a weekly reads video. It's been probably a week since I did a video, and I have not been meeting my goals as far as putting regular videos out. Life is what it is, and I haven't gotten that done. And this last week, it's been really good for my reading. I've been, really on a roll, hitting some books and getting them knocked out. And I question, do I make a video or do I read? And when I get to reading and I'm really on a roll like that, I hate to break that up. And so I haven't made some videos because of that, but that I think some of you, or most of you anyway, will understand that. But anyway, here we are for this week's weekly reads, and I wanted to talk about some of these books that we've been getting finished up on the channel, and then what I'm working on now, and then my plans for the very near future. Although my near future might be just finishing these books I'm working on. So anyway, this last week, what I've been working on. Well, first of all, I don't have the physical book because I've been doing the Harry Potter series on audio, and yeah, I know you guys are probably like, Harry Potter, but I've had this goal that I'm going to go through, all these middle grade books that my kids in the classroom have thoroughly enjoyed and just really loved. And Harry Potter, of course, for the last 20 years or so, has been the love of every middle school child. And so I've been going through those, and I have really been enjoying listening to those on audio. 10 years ago, I read the first three books, and then I kind of stopped. I got busy reading some other stuff, and I never came back to them. And so this last year and a half, I've been going through them again, but I've been doing them on audio because I figure I can do that while I'm, doing the dishes, making lunch for the day, cleaning the floors, whatever it may be. I can do those on audio, and then that's not wasted time. And so let's see, the last time I talked to you was a couple of weeks ago about my weekly reads, and so I finished. What was it? It was Harry Potter, and I'm doing the Half-Blood Prince right now. What's the one right before it? I just got done with Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Sorry, went blank here for a minute. And I really enjoyed that. It's the series is getting like he's getting older, and so the content is getting a little bit more mature maybe, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. And in that last one, I got to where I really hated the one character. J.K. Rowling did a really good job with making you hate, and I'll never remember her name. They got so many different names on there. But the gal that came and took over the school she kicked Dumbledore out and took over the school. And J.K. Rowling did a really good job of making you just absolutely hate this character. And there was such a parallel in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. There was such a parallel with some of the government stuff that goes on when you look at world history, and coming in and just taking control of stuff. And it was pretty amazing what I saw with the parallels. I might have to do a separate chat on that. It was pretty interesting. But anyway, let me move on here. Now, the next 4 books that I got finished are smaller books, but I hammered them out in like a 2-day span, most of them here. So the first one that I want to talk about is, if you follow Peg over at the History Shelf, she's doing a new reading event, a Marple A Month. And last month, of course, we did a Murder at the Vicarage. And if you didn't get in on her and Martine's chat about The Vicar and the Vicarage, you need to go listen to it. It was outstanding. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I really look forward to this month's chat on the body in the library. And so I read this right at the very beginning of the month, right when I got done with the Vicar or the Murder at the Vicarage. And it's a really short book. It's 152 pages, and I read it in basically 2 days, most of it in one day. the bulk of it. It is from, let's see, originally 1942. This was published, or 1941 maybe. And this copy is 1964. It's kind of a beat up copy, but thoroughly enjoyed this about a girl comes up, a young lady, probably early 20s, I think it was, but she comes up murdered in a well-to-do family's library. And why is she in that house? Is there any connections between her and the owners of the house? And then, of course, Miss Marple is called in by the female of the house, Mrs. Bantry, and she's called in, and she does her thing, and she's going to help solve a murder. But this was an awesome book, very quick read, highly recommend it. That was one that I read, and that would have probably been last week, not this week. It was at the end of last week. The next one that I read, and I picked this up at Walmart for, I don't know, it was like $5 or $6, because Walmart can always mark down the paperbacks quite a bit, and you can get them at a cheap price. But this is from Hard Case Crime. It's a publishing company that has tried to bring back the pulp detective novels, and they had Stephen King. They contacted him asking if he would care to help out with the series, and he said, I'll do you one better. I'll write you a book. And I don't know how much of a detective book this actually is, but it's about a murder, and an unsolved murder. And this book is The Colorado Kid, and you'll notice the pulp cover to it, and all of the covers in the Hard Case Crime are kind of like that. They're reminiscent of the old school detective novels, but thoroughly enjoyed this. It's about a guy who comes up dead on the beach, and this couple here, this guy in the background and this girl, are out jogging, and they end up coming across the body. And then from that point on, the case is given to a couple of detectives and the newspaper guys, and throughout the whole thing, it's being narrated by a couple of old newspaper guys who are like in their 80s, 90s, something like that, and they got a young gal that works for them, but they've owned the paper for over 50 years, and they were there when the original murder was done, and it's an unsolved case, and they're telling this case to this young girl that's working for them, that's wanting to be in the newspaper business, in journalism, and it's kind of whetting her appetite on unsolved cases. And anyway, it goes through the murder and what they do know and then what they don't know, and it was pretty interesting. I enjoyed it. Stephen King I can't remember if it was in the introduction or at the end, he says you're either gonna love this or hate this, and I totally understood why, and I enjoyed it. It didn't bother me very much. But that was the second book that I got read, and that was from, like I said, last week. This week I got some tiny books read. One of them, this one right here, U.S. Civil War, Battle by Battle by Ian McGregor. This is from Osprey Publishing. I was sent this book by Peg over at the History Shelf, and thank you, Peg. I appreciate that. And this was a nice little rundown on like 30 different battles in the Civil War, and some of them some of them, like I hadn't heard of that one right there, but all of these, some of them some of them you don't, and all of them have got wonderful, wonderful artwork that goes with them, and it makes me wonder if you can actually order some of these prints that have been done. And I just enjoyed this. It was a really fast read. My original plan, because this goes with my nonfiction November, I was going to do this for like a battle a day all the way through the month, but it ended up that I read a bunch more than I did, and then I got halfway through and I'm like, I might as well just get this done. So I did that this weekend. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't know that there was anything that was earth-shattering about the book that I learned, new stuff. It's all stuff that I'd known, but I enjoyed it for the, just the quick rundown on all the battles, and then the artwork was wonderful, and it's just a neat little book to have in the collection because I got a lot of Civil War stuff. And then this next one, you're going to laugh at this one. So this, I was at school and I had a student come up and he goes, "Here, I ordered 2 of these on accident because we had the book fair from parent-teacher conferences a couple weeks ago, and he goes, ordered 2 of these, you can have this." And he drops it off. And this particular student of mine has, I know he has a toy collection. We were joking about that at parent-teacher conferences. He's got a toy collection at home, and he collects, it sounds like older vintage toys, or, kind of like what us children of the 80s would have had. And so he gives me this book, What Would Skeletor Do? Diabolical Ways to Master the Universe by Rob Perlman. And I thoroughly enjoyed this book. It was very comedic. I know it was written with a half smile on the face, and some of it's just little blurbs like this one, but it's got pictures from the cartoon, the old Masters of the Universe, He-Man, Masters of the Universe, and then on some pages it's got a little bit more. Well, there's another. But it was just a fun little thing. I sat down and 15 minutes had it read, so it's not like it was really anything that was detailed at all. I don't even know if I should count this in my book count, but it was a lot of fun. It brought back some memories and from when I was a kid watching that. But anyway, it was fun. That was probably what it was meant to be. But that's what I got finished in my reading. So heading into this last week, what have I been working on? Now, the one that I worked on the most, like I said, the Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince is the one I'm listening to right now on audio. Again, enjoying that, and I'm a little over a fifth of the way, a little over 20% of the way through the book. I think 21% to be exact. When you do your audios, you can see exactly how far. But so I'm still getting into that one. It's a little faster paced one, and so I'm enjoying that. The next one that I really hammered on this last week. This is the book that I've been working on this thing forever, because I pick it up, I'll read 100 pages, and then I put it down for a long spell. I don't know why, because it's a really good book, but I started doing the math and I got to thinking, in the month of November, it is my goal to finish this book. And if I read 30 pages a day, I will get this book finished. It is in total a 1,400 page book. If you don't include the sources and commentary, because there's a couple hundred pages of sources and commentary at the end, it's like 1,248 pages. Is that what it was? Hang on. Almost there. Go back a page. I think it's 1,248 pages long, and it's, if you include the sources and commentary, which is pretty lengthy and extensive, it's over 1,400 pages. But anyway, I am on page 872, and as I got to looking at it, I should have this done in the next 2 weeks if I read 30 pages a day. And that's been my goal each morning. I'm going to knock this thing out so that I can just get through it. And I say that, and I don't mean it in a negative way, because it's a really good book. It's taking the character of Anna Carroll. It's historical fiction, so most of the characters in this book are real people, but it's putting a fictional spin to it, where William Safire has taken all the documentation to run the story pretty well true to form, and then he puts the dialogue in that you might not have documentation for. And so he's taken the character of Anna Carroll, and she's going around and she is in contact with all of your big name people, from Abraham Lincoln to William Seward to Horace, or not Horace Greeley. I don't think she's in contact with him, but Horace Greeley's in the book. But she is in contact with all of the big name politicians. We'll just keep it at that. John C. Breckinridge, all of them. And it's just going through the issues of the Civil War. How do we end the war? He's just now coming to the conclusion that the Civil War is being fought because of slavery, so we need to end slavery. So I'm at the point of emancipation. I'm just about, McClellan's army is now following Lee's army towards Antietam, and that's when I was looking ahead just to see the chapters. That's a huge chunk of the book. There's several chapters dealing with that. But anyway, thoroughly enjoying this. If you guys out there like historical fiction and you like long books, epic books, this is one to pick up. It's very enjoyable. Like I said, I've been trying to hammer away at that. Another one that I've been reading, I should be farther along, but I've been reading Freedom instead. But I'm on chapter 5 in James McPherson's For Cause and Comrades. And I was kind of reading this alongside my good friend Brian. I think he may have even finished it, or he's really close to finishing it. I've been trying to, leave comments with him on Voxer, and we've been, just going back and forth on our general thoughts. I don't know if we're doing necessarily a book, buddy read, but we wanted to be able to have an outlet. And so we've been, talking on this, and the last chapter was about, reasons for fighting, and that was kind of interesting. And then it got into, just one of the chapters that I'd read that I found pretty fascinating, and I made a big correlation with sports on this, was, you get so nervous before a battle, and there's so much adrenaline and you're scared and all this, but then when the bullets start flying, when they're firing the guns, there's on a lot of, or some of the soldiers, there's a switch that flips, and they're no longer scared. Adrenaline takes over, and they just go do. And then you get some of them that go and run. The fight or flight is what it was talking about. And I made that correlation with like my football team, because every year when we get kids in, once the hitting starts, you got some kids that are just, they're headhunters, and they go and, they go seek and destroy. And then you got some kids who kind of, play back and that's that fight or flight. And it was just very, very interesting, the correlation there. So been working on that. Like I said, I'm on chapter 5. I hope to get that. I should get through that in nonfiction November, no problem. The other one that I'm working on is Catastrophe 1914, Europe Goes to War by Max Hastings. I'm reading that as a buddy read with my good friend Peg over the History Shelf, and we are knocking this thing out. We should be done here in a couple of weeks. We've been just doing a chapter a week, and so it's probably dragging on longer than it should, but we are wanting to go slower through this so that we can digest this. Plus, both of us are reading quite a few books at the same time, and we've got the other things going. So that was kind of our decision, was to read a chapter a week, and we are about ready to start. For this week, we'll be going through chapter 15, Ypres, something that was completely hopeless. And so just got done with chapter 14. Matter of fact, I got to leave my Voxer comments for her on the chapter, but thoroughly enjoying this. It's a pretty good look at that first year in the war. And what I really like about it, and I think Peg alluded to this, is Max Hastings doesn't just do military history. He's looking at all of the history, and so he's looking at the political side of things and doing a good, pretty thorough, in-depth thorough, in-depth talk about that. He's talking about the social issues. A couple chapters back, he was talking about what the war meant to women, what the war meant to the less fortunate in the war, and it is just a really good look at overall what was going on in Europe in 1914 and how this was just, like the title says, a catastrophic event. So really enjoying that. Like I said, we should be done in a couple of weeks, and I'm guessing we're going to do a video over that. And then the last book that I read quite a bit of this weekend was the book Jaws. Now, I was sent this by Ryan over at Book Time with Ryan, and he'd had a giveaway on his channel. Go check out his channel. He did another giveaway. I don't know if he got rid of all the books he was looking to get rid of, but they're good books. The books he's getting rid of are just doubles. He got a different copy that he likes better, and so he wants to share the extra copy, because he doesn't want 2 copies in his library. And he had the book Jaws come up, and I've heard people, I know Steve Donahue loves the books Jaws. I can't remember if he likes number 1 or number 2 better, but I know he liked them, and I've heard him talk about them several times. And there were some other people out there that I've heard talk about Jaws, and so I was like, I have never read that. I've seen the movie countless times when I was younger. Why have I never read that? And so I've been going through the book, and I'm on page, after last night, I read a chapter last night, so I'm like on page 176, and it's a little over 300 pages long, and I'm kind of just buzzing right through it. It's really good. And basically the shark, Jaws, the shark has attacked the city of Amity, which is on, I believe, Long Island, and it's a summer resort for a lot of people. And if you get a giant shark attacking your shoreline, it's gonna hurt business, and that's what's happened. And the main he's not the sheriff. What's the police chief? The main police chief has the tough decision. He wants to shut down the beach, but he's got the people who are going to be economically hurt calling him an idiot, basically, and saying, do not shut this down. You're going to kill our town, and yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. The economy's bad as it is, and now you're going to take away all our business. And so he's forced originally not to shut down the beach, and somebody had been killed. And then next thing you know, right after, the day after he makes the decision not to, 2 more people get attacked by the shark. And so then he shuts down the beach, and everybody's on him about it. And he's got pressure at home, him and his wife. There's a good look at how their marriage is going. And that's a shaky thing in itself. He had a happy marriage, but he comes from one thing and his wife comes from another, and there's just some some tension between the two and the social backgrounds of the two. And so anyway, he ends up, they send somebody out to see if the shark is out there, and they're throwing shark bait and everything out into the water, the chum, and this guy ends up dead. And so now he's got 4 people, I believe. I think that's how, I don't think it was 5. I think it was 4 people dead now from this shark. And so he's being blamed for all of it, even though it's not really his fault. And he feels guilty about it because he fell into pressure of not shutting down the beach originally. So anyway, the tension in his marriage, his wife is just, the part I just got done with, his wife has just made a absolutely terrible, terrible decision. And I don't want to spoil the book, so maybe I should kind of slow down on this. But it's really good. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Thank you, Ryan, for that. It was a wonderful treat. I'd show you the book, but it's upstairs on the nightstand. And my wife and my child got back yesterday. They'd been gone for 3 weeks. And so bachelor time here at the Ruttenberg Library is over. And so, we went out yesterday, did some shopping, and got a couple of books I'd like to show you. But I'll have to do that in another video because this video is getting, we're at 23 minutes. So anyway, BookTube, that's what I'm reading. What are you reading? I hope you had a good week, a good couple weeks. I guess it's been a couple weeks since I did a weekly reads, but I hope you're having a good time and enjoying your books, because I know I'm enjoying my books. And so until next time, BookTube, happy reading.